You know, in the fragrance world, some scents just can't escape the shadow of a giant. Today, we're diving into one of those, Tiziana Terenzi's Maremma. This is a fragrance that gets people really fired up, and pretty much every single conversation about it kicks off with another absolutely legendary name. So what's the deal? Is Maremma this brilliant evolution of an icon? Or is it just a synthetic mess, a cheap imitation that totally misses the point? I mean, you go online and the opinions are polar opposites. And honestly, that's what makes this whole thing so much fun to dig into. Okay, so to even begin to get what Maremma is all about, you first have to talk about Tom Ford's Black Orchid. It's the ghost in the room, the benchmark that Maremma is always measured against, for better and definitely for worse. So here's how the fight is usually set up. In one corner, you've got the icon, Black Orchid, famous or maybe infamous for its polarizing, earthy, dirty truffle note. And in the other corner, you have the Italian challenger, Maremma, an extrait de parfum that a lot of people say is a smoother, more refined take on that same core idea. All right, let's start with the people who absolutely love this stuff. For them, Maremma is no clone. No way. They argue it's what Black Orchid should have been all along. It's like they took the original concept and just perfected it. This quote from SlickCheck81 really nails the core argument. The idea is that Maremma gives you all that dark, floral goodness of the original, but it just surgically removes that challenging, kind of hideous opening that so many people can't stand. And you see this idea everywhere. Fans constantly talk about how much smoother and creamier it is, how much more wearable. They go on and on about its performance, calling it a true beast mode fragrance. Some even call it a niche version of Black Orchid, which is basically code for saying it's higher quality and more artistic. And this description from Midget 11, I mean, what a perfect analogy. It's not just that it's like Black Orchid, it's as if you took Black Orchid and turned it into this thick, luxurious face cream. All those sharp, difficult edges, gone. This right here, this is the dream version of Maremma. But, of course, there's always the other side of the story. For every single person who thinks this stuff is a creamy, refined dream, there's someone else who thinks it's a total train wreck. And the negative reviews are just as passionate. This one from Smirky is, well, pretty brutal. Words like plastic, synthetic mess, and just so bad paint a very different picture. For these folks, there's no nuance, no refinement, just a chemical catastrophe. The complaints are just as consistent as the praise. Critics slam it for being an unoriginal clone. They say it has a synthetic, plastic-like smell that can literally make them feel sick. And funny enough, some of them even complain that the performance is weak. One reviewer just dismissed it as Black Orchid soap. Ouch. And this just perfectly sums up the divide. I mean, look at this. The same fragrance. One person smells a beautiful, woody, creamy floral, while someone else gets a dense, synthetic, plastic, nausea-inducing nightmare. It's just a wild example of how subjective our sense of smell really is. So this crazy divide tells us it's way more than just a simple alternative to Black Orchid. Let's try to forget the comparisons for a minute and just look at how people describe Maremma on its own. Because this is where things get really, really weird. Okay, so people generally agree it's dark. And yeah, it's woody. There's also a definite sweetness to it. And then there's banana Laffy Taffy? Wait, what? Yup, you heard that right. A reviewer named Salivating Solstice dropped that unforgettable line. And you know what? It's kind of perfect. It just captures the bizarre, totally unpredictable nature of this fragrance. Think about it. An oaky, woody banana candy? What does that even smell like? And the confusion does not stop there. Oh no. Just look at the gender debate. One person says it leaned very masculine. Another says it's too feminine for me to wear. And a third calls it the truest unisex fragrance they've ever met. So, there's absolutely zero agreement on this. None. And then you get these incredible descriptions, like this one from Courtney, which is just pure poetry. This isn't just a smell anymore. It's a whole vibe, a whole movie scene. It's ancient, it's wealthy, it's earthy. It conjures up an entire character. This just shows that for some people, this fragrance is a really deep, evocative experience. So, after all that, the love, the hate, the banana candy, what's the final verdict? How in the world are you supposed to make sense of a scent that's a creamy dream to one person and a plastic nightmare to another? Well, it really boils down to asking yourself a few key questions. First, and most importantly, how do you feel about black orchid? Do you like the idea but hate the real thing? Then, do you prefer smooth and creamy scents over sharp and punchy ones? And finally, are you really ready for something that's just completely unpredictable? Because here's the bottom line. Maremma is a fragrance that is defined by contradiction. It's praised as a masterpiece, and it's trashed as a synthetic failure. The only thing everyone can actually agree on is that nobody can agree on it. And all of this leads to the single most important piece of advice, which you see over and over again, like in this quote from Simon Bolivar, and it's this. Whatever you do, do not blind buy this fragrance. Based on everything we've just seen, it is not a safe bet. You absolutely have to experience this bipolar fragrance for yourself. So in the end, the question is still there. Is Maremma a masterful reinterpretation that actually improves on a legend, or is it just another controversial clone? After looking at all the evidence, it seems pretty clear that whether a scent feels like rich cream or harsh plastic really just depends on you. The jury is out, and the final judge, well,